East Hampton Town Board, we are live.
Great. Thank you, LTV. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the East Hampton Town Board work session of Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. Michael, if you could please read the roll call.
Councilmember Flight.
Present.
Deputy Supervisor Lease.
Present.
Councilmember Rogers.
Present.
Councilmember Calder-Piedmont.
Present.
Supervisor Burke Gonzalez.
Present. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so today we opened with public comment. We ask you to please kindly keep your comments to 3 minutes. And then we have 6 agenda topics: the proposed parking restrictions on Edgemere Street, and that'll be presented by David Lease and Captain Greg Martin. Second topic is the discrepancy in the town code definition of lot area. Jake, is that Charlie, or are you going to be handling that?
Charlie is on his way.
Perfect.
He's right there in the front, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, there he is.
Third topic is Windmill One Community Housing Fund request with Mark Morgan Perez. Then Dave Brown, our Chief Fire Marshal, is going to give us an update on carbon monoxide. Then Bob Mason is going to do a presentation on our public GIS resources. And then lastly, Councilmember Flight and Jay Sharon are going to give us an update on 163 Mulford Lane. That'll be followed by liaison reports and resolutions. So let's first start with public portion. Michael, has anyone signed up? No. Is there anyone in the room that would like to make a public comment? Okay. Jason, is there anyone on the line?
Yes, we have a few people on the line. Just one quick note. The YouTube stream is fine. Everyone can hear on the phone correctly. But for some reason, our television's having a little bit of like a static or a breakup on it. I have to go double check and verify that it's not on our end and maybe it's on Altice's. But everything else should be ready to go. So I'm going to unmute our first caller, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. 8764, you are on the air.
Good morning, Town Supervisor and Town Council members. This is David Buda. First, I want to let you know that the LTV feed through YouTube was not available until just a moment ago, but it is now available. I'm calling in to discuss the work session topic that is described as concerning a quote-unquote discrepancy in the town code's definition of lot area. In my opinion, it is not an inadvertent discrepancy, but rather a significant distinction with an essential purpose that should be preserved and not eliminated willy-nilly. Yes, I have been aware for a very long time that the town code has 2 somewhat similar but yet distinctly different definitions of lot area. One definition of lot area for purposes of the town zoning code, zoning chapter of the town code, and a different one for the town subdivision chapter of the town code. It's not unusual for legal terms to have different definitions in different contexts, such as for purposes of different chapters of a town code. While zoning is generally a matter of local prerogative, the subdivision of property to create new tax map land parcels is also governed by state subdivision law. Lot area is the net, not gross, area of a parcel. Lot area represents the net parcel size that is used for determining development capacity, such as gross floor area in our code, in other codes, floor area ratio, lot coverage, and building coverage. Lot area may, is, and should be defined to properly exclude a variety of land within the 4 corners of a tax map parcel. For example, for purposes of both zoning implementation by the building department and determination of subdivision applications by the planning board, the following gross land area is excluded: portions of a lot that are underwater, portions of a lot seaward of the base of the bluff line or primary dune crest, or which is beach, land, wetlands, or a watercourse, and portions of a lot in or under any street right-of-way, common driveway easements, and flagpole accessways. The only point of distinction is with regard to the scope of what type of easements should be excluded from lot area. I submit that the town board, town planning department, town attorney, and town planning board, that's both the planning department and the town planning board, should all make a comprehensive review of this issue. For my money, the town was better off with the situation that existed in 1992 when the definition of lot area was the same in both the zoning and subdivision chapters, but excluded all easements that prohibited the erection of structures. Why should the area that is within a lot that is subject to any easement that prohibits the erection of structures be included in calculating a parcel's development capacity? When a parcel is being subdivided, shouldn't the area of any scenic easement along certain roadway frontages that is required by the town old filed map study plan be excluded from the calculation of developable lot area? For me, this is a complex and important question that should be handled carefully, slowly, and with the benefit of the participation of all interested parties. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Oh, and hey, David, just want to let you know, we started a few minutes behind. We were just joining with a few different things in Montauk. So, but all is good. You can check the meeting. Everything's in its entirety. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our next caller, 4221. And you are on the air.
Thank you. Good morning, Town Board. It's Jane Uring, and I'm against it. I'm speaking this morning as an individual citizen of East Hampton Town, and not in any capacity as a member of an appointed board or town committee. I am addressing a couple items that have just been presented at ACAC, of which I am a member, but again, I'm addressing these comments to you solely as an individual resident and not representing or in my capacity as an ACAC member. So first I want to comment about some overall thoughts that I have regarding a proposed multi-million-dollar new lighting plan prospect for the all-important and precious Amagansett Historic District. The issue of identifying and filling in a few lighting gaps has been percolating for years within ACAC, but somehow it has morphed into a much bigger, broader project. Most recently, last year, it has been discussed preliminarily at town board work sessions. It is I want to reiterate today, it is my well-considered opinion that this proposed project is problematic, very problematic for two main reasons. First, even though the potential new lighting is billed as being, quote, historical lighting fixtures, the project will likely be inconsistent with and inauthentic to the standards of the, quote, rural setting of the Amagansett Historical District as described in depth in Chapter 255, Appendix A. Adding somewhere between 45 or 55 or 65 additional metal poles holding, quote, faux historical fixtures all the way from Miss Amelia's cottage down past Amber Waves Farm to the train station will, A, likely overlight the historic district where rural character is a foundational standard, and B, create very problematic visual clutter, adding multi-dozens of new structures every few feet between existing poles. Second, perhaps most importantly, the issue that was originally to be addressed and that everyone cares about in the center of Amagansett was, quote, safety, partly in response to some accidents that have happened over the past decades. And as development and short-term transient seasonal visitor pressure continues to explode and potentially overwhelm this hamlet, as well as the lack of other safety control measures. But if safety is the impetus, there is a problem as I see it, because there has been no formal safety engineering study, and we have been told now that it is unlikely that there will be one. Safety is a complex system of many inputs, including speed limits, amount of traffic, increasing population intensity of use, seasonal patterns, roadside parking patterns, crosswalk numbers and locations, all of which need to be addressed and potentially altered before any decisions go forward. Second, I don't have time in these 3 minutes to comment in depth, but last night we also learned a bit about something called the Amagansett Beautification Project, which I guess in short would result in a lot more concrete and brick and less grass in a stretch on the south side portion of Amagansett Historic District along Main Street. The terms concrete and brick seem to be inconsistent with the concept of beautification, but I don't know enough yet. But I'm here to say I hope this will be brought up at a public work session before any approval or movement is cemented. Forgive the pun. Also, I want to say, because some of this was coming out of ACAC, I respect and admire Councilman Tom Flight as the liaison to ACAC. It's not always an easy tour of duty, but I seriously appreciate how he always keeps us informed and takes in our views. So thank you. That's it for now.
Thank you, Jane. Jason, if you could put the next caller through, please.
We have no other callers on the line.
Okay. So we are going to move on to our topic. So the first up is the proposed parking restrictions on Edgemere Street.
Thank you very much, Madam Supervisor. I'm going to be joined by Captain Greg Martin. We're here to discuss in Montauk specifically a layered approach to public safety in a heavily trafficked area of one of the town's transit hubs by the Montauk train station and also on Edgemere Street. Over the past few years, there has been greater amount of concerns and calls from local emergency departments and also for town board members and residents to try to look at and address and scope out problems in this stretch of the road as it's become more and more popular, either by individuals that are taking multimodal approaches to travel to town, hence being the train station, or also areas to go to some of the businesses that are in the local area. All those in putting into an area that was probably first surveyed and built out over 100 years ago leads to the town's public safety initiative to look at options that might give areas of relief in a very strict location. There are multiple different ways in which we're looking at this, and it's a layered approach. What happens right now is that under Kathy Burke-Gonzalez's leadership with, I believe it was Bridget Fleming, legislator Bridget Fleming at the time, the town received a $400,000 grant from Steve Ballone. The county exec came out and gave that grant to the town of East Hampton to look at public safety initiatives in the corridor of Edgemere. Long time coming. We're starting to scope out that project now then too, and it's still going to take a couple more years until we find something more concrete. Anyway, as we move ahead now, what we're also seeing is that there's options that we can take in the public safety initiative, working with the county and also with stakeholders to be able to increase public safety in that area and different layered approaches. One of the approaches that we went and reviewed with the East Hampton Town Police Department, Superintendent of Highways Steve Lynch, numerous property owners, is looking at the area and how it's regulated as far as parking restrictions. Doing a deep dive into the code, looking at all the parking restrictions, we mapped them out, and we also then looked at what the signage was in some of these areas, and we also just reviewed it in real time. How are these places being used as the train ends up letting off, or after the train arrives, and also at nighttime, a lot of drive-arounds, a lot of time spent. What we found out is that some of the areas are incorrectly signed or maybe not signed, and then also some areas in the code we might want to look for parking restrictions that give greater enforcement techniques to the town of East Hampton. As you will see on the current map right now, what we did on the areas of Edgemere, which goes all the way up to by the Montauk Playhouse, and it turns into Flamingo. And if you go do a deeper dive, the reason why it's sort of a rounded area up there is because once Montauk was designated by Carl Benson in the 1920s, they only went to the train station and Flamingo came in after. And that's why it's concrete all the way up there and it's circled around. We did that by pulling all of the surveys. I want to thank Tina Lagaren from the planning department for pulling some of these surveys. And then we started the map to what the current codes are of no parking or no parking restrictions, meaning a no parking restriction. And then also where there are no restrictions there. Working with PD, we came up with, and we also discussed this at the Montauk CAC last week, we came up with a recommendation to change the areas of no parking on Edgemere from no parking to no stopping. This will then take it from where the red areas are, which are no parking, to where the blue areas are, which should be turned into no stopping. No stopping is a greater regulation within the town code in which you cannot load or unload passengers where no parking is less restrictive, and it will allow us for greater enforcement for public safety to keep people moving on so they don't inhibit the right-of-ways for potential emergency vehicles and even more importantly for pedestrian or bicycle use. But we then looked, if you can zoom in a little bit more up towards the train station, this area gets higher, a little higher into the top left, if you don't mind, sir. Yeah, excellent, Jason. In these areas down here, the town of East Hampton worked with Rough Riders to develop a taxing district down there for a road improvement taxing district in which we put in some bioswales that raise the road and try to alleviate flooding down there. And by alleviate, meaning trying to wick the road and get it back to prevent it from icing up. I can only imagine if we didn't do that this year with all the ice that we've had out there. Looking at that, there's multiple businesses down in that area. There's actually an affordable housing unit down there, and there's a public utility down there being the train station. What we looked at doing was to put no stopping on the area that fronts Rough Riders and also the area that fronts the former Bustamante gas station, we found out, which is also now owned, and it's a plumbing store and offices there. We also would put no parking, so no stopping around the triangle area that's in the bioswale, but we would leave no restrictions around the business down there of the restaurant there, as that's a pre-existing condition down there. We presented this at the Montauk CAC this past week. There are representatives from all the property owners are there, including where the offices are that were supportive of it, and also for Rough Riders then too. These recommendations in this area would be on town roads, that we can do that through a town public hearing. But the other ones on Edgemere, since it's a county road, we would have to work in conjunction with the county, with our county legislator and Welker, to be able to see if they would support that, and then we would go to public hearing because we would be the enforcing agent on it then too. Leading that there, we're at a point where this is something that could give some meaningful traffic safety in this area by this calendar summer 2026. With that, comments and working with Captain Martin, I want to thank you for your participation, and Chief Sarlo on this. Do you have comments about the process and what the recommendations were?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been working through this myself and Dave, the board, and I think we've done it with the county. It's a busy county road, and when you look at some of the issues we've had in the past, Mount Health involved, congestion, which is in essence always going to be there, but there's ways to, at least we're viewing this as ways to possibly alleviate some of that, those issues there. So the actual parking restrictions, I don't know if people are even aware, but the parking signs that are posted could be labeled in different fashions, where it could be no parking and or no stopping and or no standing. So we are looking at this as what is right now labeled as a no parking area, as that sign, as that presentation there just posted in the specific blue areas. No parking is a regulation that authorizes vehicles to stop and unload, whether it's people or merchandise or anything of the sort. Now, this specific area that we're discussing obviously is a curved roadway. There's limited lines of sight. There's multiple commercial businesses. There's intersecting streets. And the way in which Montauk evolved with the train station hub there, it's become a popular destination where a majority of these people that are visiting the area are utilizing the train and the mass transit and traveling by foot. So this is now creating a situation that we want to try to address for the betterment of public safety, where people have, hopefully, within the next few years, a very clear line of travel where they could utilize some form of marked area for pedestrians. But with the parking restrictions, where we could address that with a no stopping area, then we would simply be able to address violators for merely stopping there for any purpose, outside of obviously being told by an authority or some emergency situation as to having to move their vehicle or be summoned. So that's really the extent of the project at this point. It's a long-term thing that we're looking at and evolving, and we will continue to work on it.
Thank you, Captain Martin. So moving to other actions that the county might be looking at, they're surveying the road, they're looking for encroachments, they're looking for drainage areas there, and they'll come back to the town. I don't anticipate any time prior to summer with some potential options to look at if they wanted to make dedicated bike lanes or sidewalks there. We don't know what that is, what would be, but we do know in the end it would be another expensive approach to public safety that we would look at and hopefully collaborate with the county on there. Again, this is changing of signs. There is one area that is a little bit of a quagmire, I will say, and that's the area that says no parking on the grass. There's a triangled area there. In the town code, the parking on the grass means inside the grassy area where people were parking on Edgemere Drive, I believe it might have been called. That actually area currently is no parking, but you can't park on the grass. It's just signed incorrectly. Don't know how it got there, but we will be fixing that. And specifically, we will be going to no stopping if the county or the town board, first of all, and if the county will like also. We will be monitoring this through the current season. I've reached out to other other agents of property owners. I look forward to hearing back from them. But again, how the timing goes to hear back from the county, public notice it, authorize the public notice, and then hear back from the state. It will take time, and even while we're in February, this is a tight time frame and schedule to keep if we wanted to do this for Memorial Day on there. So this is the discussion we have for here. Again, it's one layer of a layered approach that we'll continue to look forward to. I know there's also discussions. I wouldn't mind, about speed limits in this area then too, knowing it's a county road on there. And again, as we move forward and this discussion becomes more broad, I've already heard from a couple of individuals living on Industrial Road, or also some comments that we can give to the county for any of future designs they might look for, such as crosswalks. But for right now, we're going to be targeting changes potentially and adding parking regulations, and that's the discussion for the board today.
Great, thank you.
Should I kick
Dave.
off? Well, thank you, Deputy Supervisor, for bringing this. Look, I both from being on the Public Safety Committee, hearing residents report, and being an active first responder in this district, I'm very grateful to see this coming forward to the board for consideration. I think most residents of this hamlet, or even those who are visiting, will have experienced a situation when you're driving at dusk or later busy time for some of these businesses, where you have significant numbers of vehicles parked in the right-of-way, and the pedestrians are forced out into the main thoroughfare, which is incredibly dangerous. So, by beginning to change this law to allow PD to manage this area more effectively, we mitigate that risk, which is huge. I know I've heard personally from the fire department, that this is an area of major concern to them. There's been instances when their vehicles have not been able to get through because it's become, so congested. So, allaying that risk is additionally a great thing. I think the other piece here, two other pieces. Firstly, we've discussed potential of, reducing the speed limit here. That's something I think additionally would be a good thing to do, just in the sense that, as you mentioned, we have so many visitors coming out to this hamlet via train now. You see them walking into the town. It's just well-known physics. The lower people are going in their vehicles, the less damaging the accident is to people. So, I think that would be a wise thing to do too. I think the other thing I would say here too is just the importance of Industrial Road. You did bring that up, but when you're considering Montauk and possible future implications, the importance of Industrial Road is really emphasized. I know it's in the waterfront, documents, about the possibility of building a levee along there to protect that road, because, as Montauk does change, that is one of the main arteries that people can access this part of Montauk from. Should there be a major accident on Flamingo or Edgemere, the importance of that road becomes key as well. So I think this change is something I support. We will have to be very considerate about how we monitor what does happen on Industrial, because I can easily see people beginning to try creative parking options there as well. But I think this is excellent as a project to bring forward. Thank you.
Yes, I completely agree with the proposed changes for all the reasons that both David and Tom have cited. Again, I just point out that there is the fire department is located on Edgewood. All emergency response comes from that area. We've seen the number of traffic increase, the number of visitors increase coming to the train station. And I think the idea of no stopping prohibits and takes away the idea of, if you're sitting in your car and your engine's running, you're not parked. I thought that, and we take that away of people just sitting there waiting. Also, maybe commercial Uber drivers stacking up there and waiting. And it's such a difficult sight line. And I think that this is very important to have these changes. And you're also leaving alone the parking that's in the commercial district all the way down at the end.
Yes, we're only going to change regulations on requests for changes on the county road where there are already parking regulations. In the areas where there is no parking restrictions, we're going to leave that for now. Again, it's a layered approach. We could always come back and tighten it up later.
Yeah, I agree with the previous comments. I don't have much to add. I'm familiar with the issues in the area, and I think that this is an improvement. Frankly, I don't think it's going to solve all of the problems because I think there are going to be, cars and people going to businesses there and people getting dropped off. But I totally understand the need for this and pedestrian safety, and thank Dave and Lieutenant Martin and all the rest who worked on it.
I agree with my colleagues. I do have just a question on process. So we've reached out to Ann Welker, or we're waiting until we had the board's approval or agreement to move forward?
Correct. So I wanted to wait to have this discussion with the public. I didn't really want to take up the bandwidth of the county legislator unless we knew we wanted to move forward with this. So that's the next step, the reach out to Ann Welker, and also Captain Martin will be making his outreaches to counterparts in DPW and through that process.
Okay. So it may be optimistic, right? You had said you're not sure about the Memorial Day timeframe because the county, I think they only have like one meeting a month. This probably has to go to subcommittee, and their process takes longer than our process. Yeah.
There's multiple
Yeah.
entities that work here that are outside our control.
Yeah.
So there is a plan in place. We're going to continue to work with them. And I'll just quickly touch on what Tom and Ian said. We're not blind to the fact that, this could potentially push issues elsewhere. So we're limiting or looking at restrictions to limit parking. People are still coming to the area. Montauk's a very popular destination. So we're looking at this and dissecting this as resolving it to the best of our ability, understanding so that we have to simply look at all the areas in the general area that we're attacking here to hope we don't push any issues or create any additional issues. So it's a process. It's very layered.
Right.
And so, yes, it is optimistic,
Yeah.
but with that, we will go to work. If the board is supportive, which seems like it, we will outreach to the county, try to make strides on this, report back to the town board as we hear back from the county, and let them know that, yes, we will want to try to target the summer season and see if they can get a response in a timely way.
So are we going to make two requests at the same time? Well, this no parking or no standing, but also tack on the speed limit reduction too? Or you want to do it one step at a time?
I think one step at a time right now. I'd like to review that. Next thing, Tom and I have discussed it. The global approach here for parking, I did not do for speed limits. So I want to come back if we want to do that, where the maps are, where the speed limit zones are on there in the separate areas. Again, it's at that layered effect. I just know the timing wise, we have a chance. We always have a chance, But,
Maybe not Memorial Day, but 4th of July.
Exactly. And we'll work through the processes. So that's what we're doing, and I will continue to do so, and I'll report back to the town board and continue to work with Captain Martin, Chief Sarlo, and others. Then, so.
Terrific. Thank you, David. And I know we outreach to the fire department too and let them know you are making a presentation today and at the Montauk CAC. And Tom, I would imagine you're having conversations so that they're in the loop on what we're proposing here. That's great. All right. Well, thank you, Greg.
Not a problem.
And we can move on to our senior town attorney, Charlie Collins. If you could talk to us about the memo you put forth on discrepancy in the town code definition of lot area. Welcome, Charlie.
How we doing? So this, I don't remember exactly when I realized that there's a slight discrepancy in the definitions between our 55 zoning definition of lot area and then the 220 subdivision of land definition. So when I saw it, I was curious. So I started looking into it, and I found in 1992, the town board enacted a local law 15 that changed the definition. At that time, it was chapter 153, but which became 255. And 131, which is 220, but they changed the lot area definitions to be pretty much the same, and it excluded any easement area from the lot area. And then, so that was 92, and then in 1996, there was a pretty large suite of code changes that were enacted in local law 19. And in that section, they changed the definition to exclude only private easements and not scenic easements running to the town. And they specifically called out, basically there was concerns that if scenic easements were removed from lot area, that it would really, people would be reluctant and it would be a real tough sell to get people to give scenic easements to the town, which, as the members that have been on the zoning boards, they're pretty common. There's a lot of scenic easements that get filed. So I think at that time they decided other easements, if there's a private easement, which would be like a driveway easement or some other type of easement between neighbors or some kind, those would still be deducted from your lot area, but a scenic easement running to the town would not be. And they made that code change. And then there's actually some legislative history discussing, and which is in the memo, and I also attached the full local law if you want to review it. But they talk about it is felt that the exclusion of is unfair to the property owner and is counterproductive, and that it discourages town agencies from requiring a scenic easement. So that was the idea. They really wanted to make scenic easements more appealing at that time. For some reason, I don't know. I'm guessing, and this is not the first time, only time there was a mistake, and that people didn't realize that there was also listed lot area somewhere else in the code. So when they made one change, they didn't make it to the other section. And it creates potentially kind of a weird situation, because if you go, for instance, if I went to the planning board to do a subdivision and you're taking out my scenic easement area, then I would need to get a variance potentially to get two small lots. But then if I go to the 255, I don't need a variance because it creates an issue. So I know you got a caller previously. I don't think he really, the points I understand what he was saying, but really what he was, I think he wanted to go back in time to where all easements count. If the town board wants to do that, we could do that too, but I was just trying to make, they need to agree with each other. I'm not advocating for one way or the other, it's just that they should agree. That's my.
So I have some questions.
Sure.
Charlie, in terms of when we have an easement like an ag reserve area, which is how much of the lot area it's significant?
Yeah.
In a subdivision.
Yeah.
Right. So then we would be allowing that large percentage of reserve area to be then counted in the ability of what you could build on the other 40 to 50%?
On the, so if you had a property that has ag easement over
For a
it,
subdivision?
For a subdivision. Assuming it's all on one lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it doesn't specifically, it just says ag easements are also slightly different, because ag easements you can build structures on. And it says private easement prohibiting the erection of buildings, and you can build buildings on.
Yeah, so that's why it would be, under those circumstances, I could see keeping it.
Yeah, but that's.
Not including, because you're already allowed to build certain buildings.
Yeah, but so I don't think that would apply here.
That would be like a carve out if we were to do this.
Yeah, but as a scenic easement, you can't build anything.
Right.
Conservation easement, you can't have any.
So in terms of subdivisions, if we have a subdivision of a property that's, let's say, 10 acres.
Yeah.
And the set aside for scenic easements to protect the rural character, et cetera, of the town is 4 acres. We would be putting that ability of those, what would be able to be built in the lot area of those 4 acres back into the rest of the subdivision?
I think there's a difference there, because that is someone's coming, there is no scenic easements filed.
Right.
And then they're coming to get a subdivision, and then there's a requirement to get the subdivision, you have to file an easement. This is more, if I had a property that has an easement on it already, and I wanted to subdivide it, my lot area would go down.
Right.
So, say, for instance, if I had a 40,000 square foot lot, no easements on it, I could split it in 2 if it was in B zone. Fine, 2 20,000 square foot lots. But if there was a situation where there was a 40,000 square foot lot that had a 20-foot wide scenic easement along the property line, under that area would come out of per 220, that area comes out, so then you actually only have, depending on how big the say it was 1,000 square feet, you would be under you only have 39,000 square feet of lot area, which you then couldn't have two 20,000 square foot lots because of the lot area. But then it's weird because in 255, that doesn't, your lot areas would be fine because it wouldn't count towards your lot area.
Right.
So it would still, so it just creates a weird dynamic between the two definitions.
And I do think importantly, through subdivisions, my understanding is typically an ag reserve or an open space subdivision, a set aside, that would be a separate lot.
Yeah, usually.
So it's not typically the very large, pieces aren't part of another lot. So I understand the concern because you wouldn't want somebody with a half-acre lot or an acre lot to be able to build as if they had 5. But I think typically through the subdivision process, that's actually a separate tax map. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, most
I think
lots.
it should be then, if we're going to do this. I think that should be included in the code as well, but those types of easements you don't get the lot area from a lot that is separated from your lot.
Yeah, well, if you had a lot that I would subdivided and and a section of the lot became a separate tax map with an ag easement over it, that lot area would not count towards the other property. But if there was a situation where you had a big lot and you put an ag easement, I'm thinking of like further lane lots, those do have, the big old farms do have ag easements over some of them. Those lot areas, I think, would, I'd have to check. I don't know how that.
So Charlie, I mean, I'd say like, look, there's two pieces of direction here. One is like, do we want the definitions to align? Yes, we do. The question is, do we go back to 96 or 92, right, in terms of how they align?
Basically.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm definitely in favor of the definitions aligning. I think revisiting the decision as to whether scenic easements are included in that lot area is not something I would like to do at this time, but I'm definitely open to the definitions aligning.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that agreeing that makes sense. So there's not confusion caused, and I understand that there has been. And as you presented, I understand we don't want to discourage people from offering a scenic easement. I think the important part is, as Kate has pointed out, is just making sure in very large areas that doesn't count where we have, what can be perceived as overdevelopment. But I think in the, where there's a scenic easement granted on a roadway or something like that, on otherwise a larger lot, it would make sense to not penalize the homeowner for that. But I think making sure that they agree in both sections of the code makes sense for sure.
Okay.
So myself, I'm so sorry. I think I've raised a couple more questions in my head, more than answers right now.
Okay.
So my request would be to maybe discuss this again. And if I can some discussion points with you, Charlie, either based on what a caller said or how my mind is flowing in situations I've either seen from the zoning board or other things. Too, if you don't mind, Charlie.
No, it's fine. Yeah, this was something that it came up a while ago.
Either way, it's a code change that would have to be noticed and public heard?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, and it would kind of depend on then depending on what section you changed.
Sure.
Because 220 is not zoning, so there's different criteria that
yes, exactly.
So, but yes.
Thank you for bringing this to us, Charlie.
Yeah, no problem.
No, it's a good catch, Charlie.
Yeah. There was, I forget, it came up with my brief stint in the planning board, so I kind of I've had this memo, and I was like, I should probably look into this when I get a chance.
No, you've actually have a couple of those memos that you've done, and I think that's great work on you, Charlie.
Thank you.
You don't let it slide. You actually bring it back and keep moving things forward. And I appreciate that.
Oh, I try to. Thank you. So just whenever, if anybody has any comments, you can always just reach me.
Sure.
We'll discuss. Okay. Thank you.
You'll hear from me tomorrow.
Okay, next up is Windmill One Community Housing Fund request, Mark Morgan Perez. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Actually, it might be Windmill Two.
It's Windmill 2, yes.
Yes.
I was going to say. This item is a request from Windmill 2 Housing for $29,000 Community Housing Fund grant to install basement insulation, which is a 47-unit senior housing development. The work is limited to basic capital maintenance, specifically improving energy efficiency, weatherproofing, and overall building. No new construction, no additional units, no change to affordability or occupancy. It's simply intended to help preserve the long-term condition of the building, keep it safe and comfortable for students. The Community Housing Advisory Board reviewed the request on January 28th and unanimously recommended approval. They felt that given the modest amount and the importance of maintaining senior housing, that this was an appropriate use of CHF funds. For context, Windmill previously received CHF assistance for planning related to the Windmill 1 expansion, but that was separate. This request is much smaller in scale and proposed as a grant. If the board is supportive, my understanding is the next step would be to schedule the required public hearing and then return for formal authorization. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I'm supportive of this request, and as you mentioned, the Community Housing Advisory Board was unanimously supportive, but just to offer a little bit of color and context there, the feeling I get from that board is that they don't really generally want to give money for maintenance. They want that to be wrapped into sort of the overall business model, but everybody understands that these things happen. I think it's been a very cold winter, and the apartments aren't holding heat. So I think everybody agrees that it would be improvement in the conditions, and they were supportive, as am I. But just putting it out there that as requests come into the Community Housing Advisory Board, I do think that there's a sense that they would prefer sort of maintenance type issues to be wrapped up into the overall project as opposed to one-off requests. Again, not discouraging anybody to request something that they need, and I'm supportive of this.
Great, thank you, Ian.
I think Ian said it very well, and I support it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo that. I really do share your concern that this is an operational use of those funds, which I think this has to be a one-off. I just think as we're looking at the operations there, for us to have an understanding of how they are operating is helpful, and why they've kind of run into this. Is this going to be a continuing issue with this facility, that they don't have an operating model that meets their maintenance costs? So, having that oversight of that facility, if that's going to become a consistent thing, is something I think we need to take into consideration. It was raised by a community member in the past that, where we have these housing locations that we do support either by grants or other means, is there some form of oversight the town should have, that the residents can actually go to and kind of voice their concerns that they feed through to us as a town. So yes, I'm open to approving this, but in the longer term, this does raise some red flags for me.
I'm comfortable as allowed in the general obligation law. I think we will evaluate them on an individual basis on there. We don't want to see aging infrastructure in our affordable housing stock get to a point where we miss on the opportunity to invest in it now for maintenance, and it becomes a major capital project later. Again, as we go forward with buildings getting better, these units are now approaching 40 years old. So I'm comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with my colleagues. I'm supportive of the installation of basement insulation. I do have a question, Mark. The last I recall, the Community Housing Fund had brought in somewhere around $21 million. Do you have an updated number as to where we are right now?
I think we're at 19. I think the total is 19. That was the last actual budget figures that I received for, I think, month ending January 31st from NIGI.
Okay.
I believe that's in the account, and some it's confusing because some of it's committed.
We had already brought in at least 21 million and change.
Yeah, no, I think the 19 million was what it was in the account recently, but again, some of that is committed. It's a little bit of a complex thing to get an exact number, but I think you're right that we brought in more than that.
Yeah, and if you could at some point when you have time, if you could just have your team get us an update of how much money has been collected, what's been encumbered for the projects, just so we kind of have a running total of what is available in that fund.
Sure, I can get that to you this afternoon.
All right.
And I'm happy to bring that to my next liaison report.
Oh, okay, great.
In March. And one other thing I want to say is just not to be too hard on the applicant here. I did want to sort of say what I said to make sure people understand the type of requests that the Community Housing Advisory Board would like. This isn't actually something that's degrading, they have to replace. I think the insulation wasn't there to begin with.
Right.
And I think I know other individuals who realize, oh, I should have had an insulation here where I didn't. So, it's not this isn't, I don't think, negligence where they can't take care of their own buildings. It's realizing the design originally maybe isn't up to what they need today. So again, I just don't want to be too hard on them, even though I do think the general point stands.
And I think one of the points that, might be a little bit missed here is without the referendum that Kathy helped move forward a couple of years back on the extra, 0.5% transfer tax, we wouldn't be talking about projects like this.
Correct.
And that we wouldn't be able to move forward affordable housing projects, either for maintenance, purchase of land, or construction or home loans without that. And that's what Kathy was able to assist the town board a couple of years back. So kudos to the entire community on voting on that referendum. It's going to start paying off.
Yeah, and when you think about it, they're probably, spending a lot of money right now based on if their heat is from fuel or whatever because of this, Arctic blast we've had. And with that energy efficiency done, the weatherproofing, they're going to have our seniors who are living here and have given so much to our community are going to be comfortable in their own homes.
Definitely. It should bring down costs and make people much more comfortable.
Yes, it improves the sustainability overall.
In their everyday lives. So thank you for bringing this forward, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along. Maybe I just jinxed it. Chief Fire Marshal David Buzzy Brown, if you could give us your presentation on and update us on carbon monoxide. Welcome, Buzzy.
The PowerPoint.
And that calls for a public hearing, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should just point out that the Community Housing Fund request for Windmill 2 does call for a public hearing. So we'll have to notice that on the 5th and hopefully hear it on the 19th of March.
Jason, can you see that on the screen?
No.
Seconds.
Here we go.
All right, ready to go?
Here, Tom, I'll run it. You can sit.
Okay. Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Fire Marshal Buzz. I'm here to talk to you guys about fire safety. Today's theme is carbon monoxide, the silent killer. Carbon monoxide, what is it? It's a gas. It's a deadly gas. It's a dangerous gas that it's produced by incomplete burning of fossil fuels, things like my fireplaces, fuel oil that we use to heat our homes, gas, natural gas, LP gas that we use in our stoves, or even to heat our water or heat our homes. And during that burning of those fossil fuels, the incomplete combustion creates a gas that's called carbon monoxide. Other sources or examples, an attached garage. If I have an attached garage in my house, leaving a car running, the carbon monoxide can sometimes build up and get into the home. Burning a generator, always run them outside, never inside. Don't think you're going to put them in a garage and just run them inside the garage, because again, the carbon monoxide will build up. Leaky heaters, my hot water heater, space heaters, things like that can cause carbon monoxide to build up in the house. Again, my fuel burning furnaces, boilers, I need to maintain them. I need to maintain my chimneys, my fireplaces. Make sure you get your chimneys checked out annually, swept. Make sure your appliances, my ovens, that they are all maintained and burning properly. Okay, what does carbon monoxide smell like? Does anybody know? Can anybody give me an example? No? Everybody know? What does it look like? Oh, what is that here? No smell. Wow, I can't smell it. Does it look like anything? What's it look like? Nothing. Does it have a taste? No taste. So how do I know it's there? I can't tell it's there unless I have carbon monoxide detectors. Okay, it's so important that we have these in our homes that is now mandatory, and it's a retroactive law, retroactive code. If my house is brand new, I have to have them, or if George Washington slept in my house, I have to have a carbon monoxide detector. The only reason I don't have one is if I have completely electric appliances, no fuel burning sources, no fireplaces, no gas stoves, no fuel, nothing, okay? They're very important to have, and then the examples I have up there, one is a standalone, which is just carbon monoxide, and that has a 10-year battery in it. It can't be tampered with. Once the battery is dead, the carbon monoxide detector is thrown out. Okay, the one on the left also is a combination smoke and carbon monoxide. They work just as well. And again, those will have a 10-year lifespan on them also. Okay. Next one. And carbon monoxide poisoning. Let's talk about how does it affect me and how does it make me feel. Right now, it's cold out. Everybody's got their doors closed, windows closed and everything, and we're turning on the heat. Now, if we didn't maintain our heat properly, if there's a leak somewhere or some kind of carbon monoxide source, even if it's a small one, it can build up over time. It can cause headaches, nausea, tiredness, achiness. What does that sound like this time of year? It sounds kind of like the flu or the cold symptoms, right?
Every afternoon.
Don't want to go the day. But that's why, again, if I don't have these carbon monoxide detectors in my home, do I have the flu? Or is it carbon monoxide detector or carbon monoxide in the home? And a lot of times it can affect you the same as the flu or the cold, whereas the person who is living or whose room is closest to that leak, they're going to feel it first. And then it's going to spread to the rest of the family, just like a flu or the cold. So real important, make sure we have these carbon monoxide detectors in our homes. And again, what it does is as you inhale or that carbon monoxide gets into your system, it affixes itself to your red blood cells, and it doesn't allow the oxygen to affix itself to the red blood cells to give us our oxygen that we need to live. And it also lets carbon dioxide back out of the body, so it can slowly suffocate, poison us to sickness or death. So again, get the carbon monoxide detector in the home, gotta have them. And in businesses too, always have them wherever this fuel source. What do you do if you're exposed to carbon monoxide? You want to get out of the area right away. Get out of the house, get out of the home, the room, get to fresh air immediately. If you can turn that source off as you're leaving, all means go ahead and do it. Call 911 right away. Again, try and get out of the home or get out of the building where the source is so you're not still exposed to it. Listen to what the 911 dispatcher tells you. They will give you directions on everything, on what to do, where to go, how to give assistance to anyone who may be affected by the carbon monoxide. And any questions? Hopefully short and sweet, to the point.
I have a couple, Buzzy. One, where should you put the carbon monoxide detector? Should you put it, if my oil burner's in the basement, should it be on the first floor, second floor, or the basement? Or one of each?
One on every level of the home. Also, if there is a carbon monoxide source in a sleeping area, you should, like if you have a fireplace that's inside your sleeping area, there should be one inside the sleeping area and one outside of every sleeping area within 15 feet. Like if it's a hallway that serves your bedrooms, there should be one in that hallway within 15 feet of any sleeping area.
Thank you.
Other questions? Anything?
David, the only thing I'd just add, just symptomatically, altered mental status is one of the other ones people have to consider. As your brain is starved of oxygen, people might just start behaving erratically. So you might think they're drunk, but it could be a CO issue. You just don't know. That reiterates the point. You really need to have these alarms in your place.
Absolutely.
If you have a pet, will the pet act weird first, or?
Ooh, good question. My pet's acting weird all the time. But no,
So are mine,
I'm
so
not
it'd be
really
hard to
sure,
tell.
but smaller animal, it may affect them, sooner. Smaller lungs, smaller hearts, they may become lethargic or, again, nauseous, such that. And people who have immune diseases or anything that are susceptible, respiratory disease, anything like that can also exacerbate the symptoms and the intake of it also.
So get the alarms, as Tom said, get the
Yes.
monitor.
Get the-
Safest thing to do.
Yes.
And the other thing is, where they do have batteries, a great trick is when the clocks go forward or back, change the batteries in your smoke alarm.
It's just March 8th. Well, optimism.
All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Buzzy. All right. Next up, we have Bob Mason from our IT department to give us a presentation on the public GIS resources. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you.
I can't remember the last time you came in before us to present.
It's it's been some time. Maybe the Trails maps, maybe?
Okay.
Been it?
Well, it's good to see you.
You too. Yep, I got it. You just showed the screen. It's a PDF, but check. That one's a bunch of stuff. Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, GIS.
Good morning. My name is Bob Mason. I'm the GIS manager in the IT department for the town of East Hampton. I just want to thank the board for the opportunity to present this today to the public. We're very excited about some of the GIS resources developed over the past year that are now available to the public. I'm going to highlight some of those today. Excuse me.
We go. I know.
Oh, there we go.
I know we practiced
There we
it
go.
back at town hall. That
So-
it worked.
Yeah, no problem. Let's get used to the clicker here a little bit. So the main resource available to the public that we'll be discussing is a web mapping application. This application highlights basic property information in an intuitive, easy to navigate map. This is the property search web mapping application. We developed and deployed a public web mapping application focused on basic property information. It has many town GIS layers, such as school district and zoning, among others. It can be used as a reference tool alongside OpenGov when entering permits to help find property information like tax map number, zoning, water recharge overlay, et cetera. And we're going to be spending some time on that, and I'm hoping to do a quick demo at the end of the presentation on that as well, as long as the internet connection and everything holds up okay. Go back here. So that's one thing we'll be discussing. Another thing that we're going to touch on is the GIS landing page on the town website. So we created a GIS landing page on the town website that provides links to GIS resources and consolidates GIS resources and published maps into one location. Really just trying to streamline the process of getting to these resources. And instead of having them scattered in different areas, you can go to one location on the website and get to these. And we'll take a look at that as well. This is a screenshot of the property search map application. This is currently live and available on the town website. Went live last year. We'll look at how to find it on the website in a little while. First, I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that was done to make the town's GIS data more usable to the public in this app. And also go through some of the layers and data that's available on this resource. Some updates and customizations made to the town GIS data. These changes make the data more understandable and consumable for the public. Town's GIS zoning layer. This took some time. The original zoning layers for the town were from a print source. Essentially, they were created for the sole purpose of printing on the zoning map sheets put into the zoning map books. So they were never built to be used in a digital environment, in a dynamic mapping environment. So therefore, when they were viewed in this kind of resource where you could zoom in, zoom out, try and access the data behind the layers, they didn't work well at all. They were extremely confusing. You would have overlapping leader lines. You would have, as you can see there, you can see the zone labels, PC, A, A2. They might show up in different areas because the layers themselves were built to be viewed at a specific scale for a specific map. So they really
Bob, they weren't that easy to read in that book either. You had to jump around all over the place.
Yeah. And those do still exist. They still exist in the book, in the published resource. And we do have them in some, internal resources still that need to be changed out. Because if the public were to access it that way, it could cause a lot of confusion, and they would think they're looking at a different zone than they are, and you couldn't pull any information out of the zones either. So if you were to click on what you thought was a polygon, it wasn't really a polygon, so you couldn't even get the attribute information from it, so it would have just been frustrating. So we didn't want to put anything out there like that. So we spent a lot of time basically creating a brand new layer, or layers, really, but for this really important resource that the town uses. By resource, I mean the zoning resource, right? That's what everybody.
How long did it
really
take
wants
you,
to look
Bob?
at. This goes back to actually we started building that back in 2004. It had been backburnered a little bit before that, and then we put it as more of a priority to get it out there so we could get this mapping resource out. And we spent some time doing that. The original conversion wasn't too bad, but there was a lot of manual cleanup that had to happen because they really had to match the line work exactly, because it's the published books reference the code, right? So the lines have to reference the code. They have to be exact. So I don't want to get into too much of the nuts and bolts of it, but we basically had to convert over using the parcel boundaries, convert that over into polygons matched against the zoning line work, and then cleaning up like the road segments and things like that until we got it to match perfectly. So it was a bit laborious, but it was well worth it. Something I'd wanted to do for a while, and it functions really well in this resource. So now they're polygon features. You can click on them in this map along with any other map that they're in. You can get the zoning for them, and you zoom in, zoom out. They could be symbolized a lot of different ways. So it was really a benefit to be able to produce it for this, but also just to have it beyond the line work that we had before. Another customization we made was to code out values for our data. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the raw GIS tabular data wouldn't mean much to the public. A lot of our layers, some of our special zones like HPOD, water recharge, and even things like school district, fire district are coded out that numerically, but they don't have a descriptor in the data. So some things might be like 1 to 14, and that 1 to 14 code might mean a certain school district, might mean a fire district, something like that, but it's not laid out that way unless you alter that. We also have a lot of 1 zeros, nulls that indicate a yes or no value for whether something is in a special zone. And if we were to put that out to the public, it doesn't mean a whole lot. So what we did was we took those and we coded those values out so that those 1 to 14 codes mean that district that they're in. The 1 zeros, nulls mean yes or no. It's a little hard to see on here, but when you go and you click on a property, you'll see the Suffolk County tax map number, You'll see the address, the zone map book, and then you'll see things like school district, fire district. And I think you have the presentation up there. Hopefully you can see it. It might be a little small, but you could see for school district, it'll say Spring School District. For the fire district, it'll say the fire district it's in. And for those special zones, you'll see a yes or no value that indicates whether that property is in or is not in that zone, so that it makes a lot more sense to people. Because if we were to put ones and zeros and numerical, codes out, nobody would know what that means, and it would just be more confusing and less usable. So we wanted to make sure that those things were in place to make this as usable as possible. So let's talk about some of the layers you can find in the GIS web mapping application. Environmental layers. Here you'll see we've got the group expanded there. We've got things like HPOD, water recharge, coastal erosion areas. These are the same layers we use in town, same layers the employees use, and providing access to the public to them to be able to see them as polygons overlaying their property or areas they may be interested in. Again, the zoning, like we talked about, we've got that zoning layer, but in addition to just the base zoning, the A2, B, B, C, it's also got the other layers that make up the comprehensive zoning that you can see in the zone map books. So you've got, AHO, LBO, ag districts, all of that in there so that you can toggle those things on and off in the map and you can see those things. What else? School districts, fire districts, historic districts, those basic districts we have, you can toggle those on and off. And as you can see in the screenshot up there, you can see, when they're on, they overlay the areas they're relevant for, and the labels come up so you can clearly see what they are. A lot of these districts are also identified in the attribute information in the parcel layer. So if you were to click on a property, you'd see that information in there as well. This is the visual for that, so you can see the overlays and where they are. So let's discuss how to easily access this app and other GIS resources. So to streamline this a little bit more for the public, we created a GIS landing page on the town website. Has a link to the web app we've been discussing, as well as other resources. So on the town webpage, ehamptonny.gov, if you just scroll down to the popular links section, there's now a GIS button on there. You can see in the screenshot there, it's just highlighted, it says GIS. You click on this button, it'll take you to the GIS landing page where you'll have a link to the web app, as long as other various published maps and some other GIS resources as well, links to county web resources and FEMA and things like that. You can also go to the departments page, go to the IT department, and get to the GIS landing page that way. But this is right from the homepage, so this is a lot easier. So if you get to you click on the GIS link, get to the landing page, you'll see up here, that's what the landing page looks like. We've got right there, there's the property search link to the property search app highlighted there. We also have a town maps link on there, and what that actually does is there's a town maps page, and this has been on the website for a while, but we provided a link to it from here, so that everything's a little more centralized and streamlined. And these are a lot of published maps for the town. And we did clean this up a little bit. We went through the list here, and we updated some of the maps that need to be updated. We took out some that were not as relevant anymore. And you'll find things like, you'll find the zoning map book on here, our town trails map, the land use map people like to look at. So those published PDF maps that you can access and are downloadable. And like I said, they've been on the website for some time, but we just kind of like one page you can go to mapping GIS resources and have it there. And then you'll see at the bottom of the page here, we have some external links. Suffolk County's map viewer, FEMA, couple more on there that we have. So if you give me a second, I'm gonna actually jump into a quick demo of this. I'm gonna try and grab the laptop and bring it over here.
Or if you want to sit there, we'll just bring the microphone to you.
Oh, yeah. Sure, yes, yeah.
Problem solving.
Thank you, Tom. You'll hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go into this right from the website. So, and hopefully our connection's okay, the web. We're going to go right to main homepage, and just as I was describing, I'm going to scroll right down, GIS link, just as you would do at home. And here's our GIS landing page. We were just discussing property search app along with town maps, some other resources. I'm going to click on the property search link, and we're going to go out to our web mapping application. So this is just how you would get to it from the website. I've got my disclaimer, just going to click on here, and this is it. This is the web mapping application you can currently go to from town websites live. It's been live since last year. This is what it looks like when you first go into it. As I zoom in, you'll see there, okay, I was gonna say there might be a little lag because of the Zoom meeting, but it seems okay. You'll see the parcels will start to pop up. So they have a scale dependency set, and you'll see tax map.
I think you see my house.
Oh, is that yours? Right on the side.
No, don't zoom in there too much, man.
That's that fence. Very nice. So you'll see tax map number pops up and the address pops up for quick visual for what you're looking at. If I click on a property, I don't know if that's your property or not. So here is the, let's see, here is the information behind the parcel area that you'll see here with some of these coded values. You see the address, applicant tax map, zoning, zone map sheets, and then I scroll down, see school district, Springs, fire district, Springs. Land use has a 1, and then that would be the coded value for land use, but I've got the descriptor for low density residential, so you can see what all that means. And it will tell you these various environmental zones. No means they're out, yes means they're in. So it's very easy and intuitive for somebody to navigate through this and see what's here. Let's see.
We call that South Central Springs right there.
Oh, there we go.
Is that what you call that?
Yeah, that's what my brother-in-law does.
So that was just to show some of the coded attribute information. If I go over to my layers here, I'll just expand my layers, and you'll see these different groups I've got. I've got my my districts here. I can toggle these on. This is fire district.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, this will show your fire district here. Turn this off. Look at the school districts. So, you know, I've got all that kind of stuff on there. Let's take a look at, here's some environmental zones. I can look at, let's take a look at HPOD. Toggle that on. As I zoom out, you'll see my HPOD regions start to show up. If I were to zoom into one of these, let's say I click on this property, what I'll get here, gotta minimize my window, sorry about that. You'll see I'll get information for that property. Oh, you know what? That wasn't a good example. I was going to say you'd see that I get the HPOD information as well, but that doesn't actually have any information. If I were to do that, let's try that with school districts. Let me turn the school districts on. So if I click on, say, this property here, you'll see now you have a 1 of 2 up here, because what this gives me is this will give me information for the school districts and information for the property itself. So if I go school district, you'll say, oh, school district, that's Springs, in case, you know, I didn't see the label. And if I go back and I go to the property value, and now here's the information for the property, you see it highlights there. So if there's information for the layers that you have on, it will give you that listing of them, and you can toggle through them. Let's see. Let's turn this guy on. Let's take a look at our zoning. So let me turn my zoning on, and you'll see here. So this is some of the zoning work that we did. You'll see these are all polygons. The labels for them comes up in the area, so there really is no confusion as to, what zone you're dealing with. So that's nice there. If I go, let me find, there's a scale dependency on this, so if I zoom out too much, it might disappear. But you'll see here, so we also have, with our zoning boundaries, we've got our ag district, HOLDO. If I go to my legend, it will show you what these things are. So it shows you zoning boundary, it shows you what the various colors on the map mean for what you're looking at there. And that's when I touched on having the comprehensive zoning layer. So you've got them together there, not just the zoning boundaries, but you've got the other components of that go along, that would make up the zoning map book. So let's see, let's do a couple more things here. So we've got a couple backgrounds you can swap out really easily. This is a standard Esri background. Esri is the GIS software, GIS platform that we use at the town. It's the world leader in GIS that the majority of everybody uses. This is hosted on ArcGIS Online, Esri's platform. This is some of their base maps you can swap out. This is the main one. Got imagery, hybrid map that comes up really quickly and really nicely. This is one of Esri's background imageries. This is another one of their background imageries. I do have the New York State ortho imagery, the latest one they provide through a mapping service on here, which I'm bringing up right now. I think that's 2023. I think that was the last time our area was flown for the ortho program. So that we're consuming from them, and you can see we swapped that out as well. So these are some quick swappable backgrounds. You can see imagery. We can go back here, which is nice. You can toggle it back and forth. We also have a lot of these other Esri, base maps that you can put on here too, which is their kind of canned base map product. One thing I should show you, we've got some searches here. Let's see, let me grab what I've got. So this is a tax map search. You can put the tax map number in, and I can go zoom to that. Here's our town hall property. And I can click on that and get information for it like I did before. One thing that's nice is we've got an address search up here. It's actually an address or place because we're pulling this from Esri's geocoder. And I didn't even know it would do this, but for example, if I put Montauk Library in, let's see if it comes up. So there you go. I didn't even need the address. See if it brings me to the right place.
That address and place is really helpful for folks.
Yeah.
You don't have to go find out what the tax map number is to get information.
Right. So some things may come up there, some things may not. But depending on whether Esri has it in their geocoder as a place, right? Like they had Montauk Library, which is great. I put Montauk Point Lighthouse in, that came up. So various landmarks and things like that you can put in there and it'll come up, which is nice. Let's see, I think that's probably what I was looking to highlight on here. Do you guys have any questions or anything you wanted to look at on here while I've got it open?
I'm going to jump on, just say, like, when, first of all, I'm a map geek, so when I joined the town board,
I can confirm you are.
Yeah, when I knew we had a GIS team, I was like, this is a win. But it's been a delight to work with Bob and Barnaby in that department because they really care about this. And look, the history of maps is that, they're a source of power. The first maps were always designed militarily for like how to control land. But what we're doing here is we're putting the power back to you, the people. Like this is for you to be able to go online, research your lot, research your neighborhood, because, this is how we invest in you as a community. It's important for you to know what zoning you're in, what school district you're in, who's your fire district. This is information it's now easy for you to access. It's taken a lot of work, a lot of data integrity, to which I'm hugely thankful to you guys for. Drawing those polygon maps is insane.
Thank you. And thank you for your support. Thank you, the town board, for your support and being able to push this stuff forward as a priority. Well, I'm not sure if I emphasize it before as well, but one of the things that pushed this to the priority, because it was kind of like back burner and kept getting leaped over by other things, was to have something to work with OpenGov when OpenGov got launched. So you can use this resource with OpenGov, the public, when they're putting permits in for their properties, to look and see, hey, what's my zoning? What's my tax map number? What am I in? So, and I believe planning has this linked on their OpenGov landing page as a resource there. Hey, as you're filling your forms out, go here and navigate your property. See some of these things you may need to know. So we wanted to make sure that we had that coupled with OpenGov when it launched last year in around April or May, and that's really kind of when this went live, so that people had that ability to look things up a little more easily because they'd be doing it from home, wherever, because everything was going online. So just wanted to, make that known that helped, push this forward to get it out there and put it on the front burner.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And I think, the digitization of like the polygons is one thing. Like we're doing that with other data points too right now. So you've got certain data points in here now. I guess the question is like the process for adding more data points to this is something I think is going to kind of come up, and like what we include in here going forward, with regards to those data points, I think.
Yeah. And I know you wanted to do a little bit about going forward. We're looking at this year, working to create a GIS application that pulls in the other data resources, Govern, OpenGov, and we'll be working with our professional services group on building that out to create something that really would be like a one-stop shop with the mapping, the jumping off point to get to the other information for the town, assessment information, permits, that kind of thing, for viewing, not necessarily for entering, but for accessing. So that's where we're going with that, to create that product and then be able to determine whether that's something that you guys would want to put out to the public once we get that set up and tested and working well in-house, and really try and bring together the GIS resources with all of the other information. So you're not going to GIS and then going to OpenGov, and then going to Govern, and then going to Nearmap, and then going here and there and everywhere else, having that central point that at least brings you these different places, brings the data in, and brings that data in forms that's consumable.
Right, and it respects people's time when they're filling out these applications, and it's our way of modernizing town government to make this more approachable. I mean, it's great, and I see the use for when we finally launched the OpenGov for special event applications for folks. I mean, again, the link should be there for that as well, so that when people are filling out their applications or they need to provide a sketch to show, they can pull it off of our own GIS system.
Yeah, that makes it much easier for our community to be able to submit applications without having to dig through layers of try to find your tax bill that has my tax map on it. I've done it in the past myself, and to be able to just go right to it, it cuts down quite a bit of time. I'm glad that you're presenting today, because the work that your team does is so important for the community, but you don't really have a lot of face time with the community.
No, we don't. It's a lot of behind the scenes.
Nice to have you here to be able to highlight what Barnaby, what your department does.
Well, we appreciate that comment and all the support. It's been wonderful.
So for myself, besides like surf cams and traffic cams, the GIS is what's open on my desktop the most often.
That's great.
And I use it all the time, but I never used it when I wasn't working within government.
Yeah.
But I think I want to mention here, if I was a prospective property owner, prospective permittee looking at their property, you don't have to spend the money to find let's say a professional just to ask them what your tax map number is. Your environmental aspects of your property, your zoning aspects, the town is putting it forward for you to gather it in a very concise way. And that application can be used for so many different aspects of everyone's life. First year ever, I paid my taxes online. I paid all my family's taxes online, and I did it all in about 45 seconds. It was so quick and easy on there that we used the town's website for your everyday life, and it just will make things a little bit easier. And I think we're going to continue to modernize that, the clerk's office and other stuff, as the supervisor was saying. But there's so many elements there that this can be used for even for kids, in school and stuff that's online here. You mentioned the trail maps. Those are always great too. I love I love maps too, Tom. Totally. You know, I really, I won't.
Did I tell you they used to call me the navigator? Because we used to have to go to the gas station to get the map when you traveled, and it was about, this big.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember as a younger generation, I mean, at nighttime, I wasn't staring at an iPhone. I was reading an atlas. I loved it. I'm like, where in the world is
It's a
that?
requirement to be on the sport.
Correct.
You got to be a map nerd.
You know, and bringing Ray McNally in, but there, I mean, if you're watching this or listening to this or maybe even read it, is that there's so many ways that this program might affect your life and make it easier for you and actually save you a lot of money in some ways. If you want to go, honestly, if I was looking to buy a house, I would like to know everything about the house, gather that information, because it's my biggest investment as a new property owner, and you can gather so much of that through this program now that it's out there also, which I just think is great to have.
Yeah, David, I think it also helps some of the businesses out here, the real estate industry, the construction industry. They can find all this stuff out they don't have to hire somebody to go dig in or come into town hall and look for it and save that time just to have somebody look it up. So really is a really broad use of these maps.
I see videos in your future for social media, Bob, so that we
Try and stay away from social media.
There was
Me too, Bob.
tutorials.
Well done.
My New Year's resolution, yeah.
There was. I know there's a survey group that's always been interested in, and I don't know if this discussion or a later discussion about getting another base station out here for GIS.
For surveying.
For surveying on there then too, and that's something I think, Tom, we might talk later on about that, which just improves the accuracy again for that industry also, Kate, as Kate mentioned then too, which it's a little bit of a tangent of.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tangent. I mean, and also one thing we've been working on recently is upgrading our GPS equipment, which we just got a new system and we got one for planning that we're integrating. But some of those corrections you can get through there now, even at the survey grade level, I think you may be able to do without even having some of those base stations with the way that the technology's gone. But that would certainly be interesting.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Something.
Just to the public, I would just say, like, don't be afraid to try this out. It's really intuitive. It's kind of fun. You get to learn a lot about your area in different ways. So give it a go.
And David, here, the trails are on here too. If you wanted to look at them. It's not the trails map. It doesn't have all the nice bells and whistles that the trails map has because it's not geared towards that, but you can bring the layer up and you can look at them. So I'd show you that.
I agree with the previous comments. I think that this is great. This is all public information, and now what we're doing is making it accessible to the individual. And what seems like a very complex set of data and things to find, it just simplifies it. And I think it's wholly appropriate to empower individuals to have access, as Tom said, at their fingertips to information that's already should be public. And I think this frees up, town staff who is still willing to help with these types of things, but to have, everybody able to access this with the internet, I think is a huge step forward. So thanks for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, so now we've got our last work session topic is 163 Mulford Lane update, and that is with Councilmember Flight and Jay Sharon from Marine Patrol. Welcome, Jay.
Good afternoon. Tom? Sir, will you run?
I was supposed to grab tabs some of these things. I'm sad about the phone. I was there for so long.
I'll stay here in case you need.
Okay, so you guys are aware of the situation at 163 Mulford in Amagansett. The house on stilts collapsed last weekend. At that time, the town started to mobilize a plan to remove it, just to help mitigate the risk to public safety, including hazardous navigation. So we contacted several area marine salvage companies. Everybody kind of had the same issue with the ice. At the time, the structure was trapped in the ice. So was some of their equipment. And now the situation's the same. It's still in the ice. That the structure has collapsed completely. Chesterfield and associates from the North Fork, they've been contracted to remove it, and right now they're waiting for the ice to recede so they can come and assess. So with the rising temperatures, we're hoping by tomorrow they can come out and give us a better idea of the removal process.
So yeah, I'll jump in, Jay, as well. No, just to say, I mean, look, I think this occurred during the first storm. We saw this building starting to deteriorate. And the one thing I want to do is I'm incredibly grateful to how quickly the team departments worked to do this, because despite being something that's kind of seemingly simple, just removing a falling down structure, it's a surprisingly complex process. It's state water land, so we had to really actively get involved with the DEC to get that emergency authorization. The supervisor was fantastic in that realm, helping through Albany to kind of get us the attention we needed to get this issue done. Jay from Marine Patrol and Kim from Natural Resources worked expediently to identify contractors who could come in and address this. The contact was made. Jeannie Carosa from our purchasing department was on the ball. We immediately got that contract put together. The building department you saw was out there very quickly to, ensure that this building was correctly posted as a structural hazard, which is required for that emergency authorization form. PD ensured those public safety issues were kind of taken care of, and we got the messaging out there through our public information office as well. And this was kind of a very fast turnaround. I think within 24 hours we had this plan put together. The weather's now doing what it does. Access to the site is determined by the ice conditions and safety. As soon as those abate, the contractor is going to get out there and present the plan to remove it and communicate accordingly with all our relevant partners at the DC. But I just want to say great job to all the team in kind of getting us to where we are on this. It was really kind of a great show of how our departments coordinate to get things done. So thank you.
Any questions?
Jay, do you just want to talk about how Chesterfield is going to access the site when the time comes to remove the structure?
Yeah, so they're going to bring in barges from the North Fork. I think the plan is to have two barges, one with roll-off containers, the other with the heavy equipment to dismantle it and load the containers. And they'll be putting a boom around it to contain the debris. We just have to see what the conditions are going to be when this ice recedes, like how big the debris field is.
My only question to you is that it'd be nice to make sure we can get the pilings out too.
Right.
Not just the superstructure.
Yeah, they understand that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for how fast you brought this to everyone's attention and how fast you moved on getting a solution together. You, Marine Patrol, and all the agencies that Tom mentioned. I think this is probably the most photographed house in East Hampton, and there's a little bit of sadness to see it go. Mm-hmm. It had withstood a lot of the impacts of rising seas and erosion in our times, and I think everyone felt a little sad to see it go. But it's now become a hazard to navigation and to public safety, and I really appreciate how fast the DEC responded to your request, which I think is probably a first in terms of speed. Certainly has the speed record, and then all of this, Tom, for coordinating this, and all of your crew for getting this to the point where we have a solution so rapidly to something that is very dangerous when you think about where it is right now.
Yeah, I just, other departments I didn't mention because it's always hard, but like Jake, your department, attorney's office, Charlie Collins was fantastic with this, and Tina and Brian Frank too, in helping getting that emergency authorization form in and filled out correctly. So just a great team effort. So thank you all.
Yeah, well, I think we learned about it on Sunday. And Tom, I gave you a call on Monday and said, would you run point on it? And you had the Zoom set up before our work session on Tuesday and got everybody aligned. And it was, it's a great effort. And now we just need the weather to cooperate with us so we can get that removed.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jay.
Jay. Okay, so those are all of our work session topics, and I'm going to ask, if we could kind of do a quick liaison report, just so folks know, I was going to cover this, but I might as well do it now. There's a meeting tonight out here in Montauk. It's the New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation is teaming up with the DEC for a public meeting. It's a project update regarding the tree work to address the damage from the southern pine beetle at Knapp Peak State Park. It's tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. at Montauk Downs. Many of the board members have already seen a preview of the presentation, but because the presentation starts at 6 and our exec sessions typically go to 6, we have to, really get through today's meeting and through exec sessions so that we can be at Montauk Downs tonight.
Thank you. I will be very quick with my latest report. I'll just do the Amagansett Advisory Committee because that was mentioned earlier. We had a range of topics discussed last night. There was some follow-up discussion around Further Lane. There's a request made that could the town attorney attend the next meeting just to kind of give clearer direction on the town's position on that, which I've spoken to him about and he will be doing. Additionally, we discussed, as was mentioned, the lighting project. A lot of back and forth on this. I think the key thing here is to emphasize, where the public input is. And, this is a slightly atypical project because it's in a specific TAC district. So this has kind of had a lot of frontage to the Amagansett community early on to ensure that, those views have been heard. In terms of the actual plan itself, I met with LKMA last week. We're hoping to have that more concrete plan to present to the board early next month as to what this project might look like and kind of get everybody's feedback on that. Once that's done, obviously this plan will have to go before the relevant boards, the ARB certainly because it's a historic district. And obviously, funding of this project will mean that, relative financing, there'll be public work sessions for the public to come in and bring that feedback back to the town. I think, look, one comment that was made to me last night that I think is very fair is that as this plan evolves and we present it to the plan and the engineers come back to us with the final cost, I think it's really cognizant of people understand, like, look, this is the cost of this new lighting project. Is this something we strongly feel that the public safety need is there? Some back and forth discussion, should the town for this specific area conduct a public safety survey? As I explained in the meeting, that's fairly atypical for the way we operate with these kinds of projects. If that's something the board is supportive of, I'm open to that consideration. But for me, I think LKMA has done a good job engineering these projects elsewhere. The safety guidelines that they have to follow in this case are very predetermined by the DOT in terms of the lighting standards, the fixtures themselves. But yes, I do acknowledge, I think there's some public sentiment out there that, overall safety in this area is something that's under concern. Just with the recent spate of accidents we've had there. A future work session, I would just like to bring forward, it's a very small thing. A reduced speed sign has been asked for coming into Amagansett. I've spoken with the chief of police and the supervisor of highways. They're both supportive of that sign. I can demonstrate exactly the board will be in the next work session, but subject to that kind of confirmation, I'd like to reach out to the DOT to get that sign put in on the state road. But yes, look, I think, if there's suggestions for safety improvements, we're always open to hearing them. It's just, that there's obviously a risk reward element there. We cannot do everything all at once. Lighting has been identified by the community as the #1 concern they have with this. It has multiple facets to it as well. It's not just safety, it's also dark sky compliance. Our existing fixtures do shoot up a lot of light into the air. And by replacing the fixtures, we can mitigate that environmental effect as well. But that feedback from the public is important. It is your town, your hamlet, and you have every right to bring that feedback to us, and we will move forward accordingly. That's it.
Thanks, Tom. David?
Two things. As we know, the snow is not just an ice is having issues all around. It's also having issues at our aquaculture facilities right now, where we're dealing with spawning and some of the water that comes into our 100-year-old facility right now, the water's frozen up. So we're having some issues with spawning. I'll have some more information back in March, coming in March for you on there. Recreation, you can sign up for the winter programming and recreation for the winter break, which is next week. And then also you can sign up all for town's lifeguarding and junior lifeguarding and nipper guard programs if you want to think about anything warm. Lastly, sorry, I know you told me to keep it short. I'll keep it short, but this might be my last chance to do this. There's a gentleman named Paul Nichols. He was a Brit, actually. Really nice friend of mine. He raised money for cancer research on there. His wife, his widow, Diana Walker, presented me with the Olympic torch. This is a 2004 Olympic torch. And what Diana said to me is carry this torch on behalf of all the youth in the town of East Hampton. When we were at that meeting, Kathy and I were there. And what I want to say is let the Olympics unite everyone right now for these 2 weeks in sport. Let the athletes play. Let the athletes compete. And politicians just shut up and be quiet about things. Allow us to come together as the greatest sporting event in the world, which I love that. I love the Olympics, and let them compete and play and have fun with each other, meet each other, and do it through sport. The supervisor has always supported me. We co-parent the Little League ball fields together. We're adding more recreational values to the town of East Hampton. But it was with this, when I was presented this, and I don't know if I'll have another time when there's an Olympics to do this again at the town board meeting. Let everyone enjoy the Olympics and let everyone go out there and have fun and let the kids be kids. Let them say what they want to say. Unless at the end of the day, we'll all just cheer them on. Thank you very much.
Here,
Great
here.
job.
Thank you, David. And second. That was great, David, and so true and so timely. I'll be brief. The Wainscott CAC met on Saturday via Zoom. They were intrepid even in that horrible temperature. We stayed in our homes, so it was okay. Two issues that are always important to the Wainscott CAC is the historic preservation of local land there, the appreciation for the Osborne Farm purchase, and consideration of the management plan. So the folks are looking forward to public commenting at the next work session. They did have some concerns about agriculture on that land and the proximity to the impeded pond. Also, they spoke about the airport presentation. There was support for the work of the Wainscott CAC Airport Subcommittee led by Mark Franz and others, and for the initiative that the town will be studying the operations and complaints for the last 5 years with a look towards being able to identify the problem in current times. They were supportive of that as well. And they will be coming forth with ideas and comments in the future on anything to do with the airport.
Great. Thank you, Kate. Ian?
Yes, there'll be no ag committee meeting this week, and as I think I reported the last liaison report, that's in large part because they recently presented some recommendations. I have met with the town attorney and the planning director for them to start taking what I think was general support for those recommendations and figuring out what we can make progress on and what we can't. There's nothing yet complete, but I just want to reiterate, as I have previously, that that'll be a public conversation. There's nothing that I'm going to present and ask anybody to pass. There's going to be plenty of public input as that goes on. There's just nothing ready to present yet. The Spring CAC will meet next Tuesday at 6:30 at Ashwag Hall. And lastly, I just want to say I have a resolution on today to update the home ownership administrative plan. And just so there's no confusion about that, that doesn't affect anybody who's currently on the list. Things are going to run as they have been running. It just was due for an update after many years. There's some clarifications, and as we hopefully, I know this board is very committed to affordable housing opportunities. As more homes come online, we're trying to get ready for the future there. So no major change. It's just an update, and I don't want any confusion about that. The current list remains intact, and the process is generally the same.
And the plan is posted under work session materials.
The plan has been posted since, as all materials are, since before the weekend, and will be up on the website under today's meeting. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to my office.
Great, thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
I have two quick things. East Hampton Sag Harbor CAC met February 2nd. Jerry Butler was reelected chair, Katie Casey vice chair. Some of the discussions were included kudos to the highway department and Steve Lynch for the clearing of our roads. They also commended the human services department for the senior services they provide. An inquiry was made into when the MTA Long Island Railroad opens up the train station in East Hampton Village. So we're looking to get a contact and reach out to see if we can get it open more frequently, particularly in this cold weather. And we also had a lengthy discussion about the 2026 operating budget. Then this Saturday, the Latino Advisory Committee met for the first time. We were supposed to meet in person, but because of the snow, we met via Zoom. We've decided that moving forward, the meetings are going to be the first Saturday of the month at 8 a.m. and they're going to be at the Senior Center in the activities room. Kind of went around the horn. Folks had an opportunity to introduce themselves, say a little bit about themselves. The discussion evolved around what do our Latino neighbors need right now? And there was a lot of input there. Folks want to feel more protected. There was a great deal of questioning about how our local police would interact with ICE agents should they show up here in East Hampton to detain people. And ideally, we will have someone represented from the police department at these meetings. It was just the timing didn't work for this particular Saturday, so we will have a representative from the department at the March meeting. Lastly, I just want to remind folks, this is our last meeting for February. We will have our next meeting on March 3rd, which is a work session, and we'll be back in East Hampton. So we do have a couple of resolutions because this is the last opportunity this month to do some of the business of the board. So Tom, I believe you're up first.
Yes, thank you, Madam Supervisor. We'll start with Resolution 2026-353. This is a budget modification for the Sanitation Department. We're decreasing health insurance in the amount of $455.91 and increasing workers' compensation in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's my pleasure to offer Resolution 2026-354. This is authorize employee Steve O'Brien for reimbursement in the amount of $76.02 for needed parts for snow blowers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 355 is approved professional service for graphic designs with creation of multiple projects to Graphic Image Group, not to exceed $6,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 356 is to approve supplemental grant funding for the Springs Presbyterian Church, where they were awarded through the RFA Water Quality Program Round 2 2023, the installation of water abatement retrofits, where the costs for the IA system has increased significantly. The additional funding of $70,525 is to be awarded and taken from the Community Preservation Water Quality budget line.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 357 is accepted donation of a memorial bench. This is for a gift from Conrad Costanzo, whereas Conrad Costanzo would like to donate a memorial bench as a gift to the town of East Hampton in memory of Patricia Gilchrist, a wonderful Montauk resident. That's not in there, but I said it. And I'll say it loud and proud. To be placed at the Behan Memorial Park at 569 Westlake Drive, Montauk. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby gratefully accepts the donation from Conrad Costanzo to the town of East Hampton.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 358 is retain historical preservation consultant Robert Hefner for the Carl Fisher House and Annex. This is not to exceed the amount of $12,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 359 is authorized employment reimbursement for the Aquaculture Department for John Dunn, and this would be in the amount of $65.62, and this is for personal expenses for electrical charging.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 360 is a set bid EH 26-007 disposal site for ground leaves for Calverton Materials, and I believe that this was $25 a cubic yard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 361, which is the acceptance of a grant scenic and conservation easement at 43 Marine Boulevard, Narragansett. The grantor is George and Anastasia Gavalis. The reviewing agency is the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 362 is to retain L.K. McLean for professional services related to the Wayne Scott Commercial Center, technical and engineering analysis related relating to the review of the Wayne Scott Commercial Center application and supplemental draft EIS statement. The project review remains ongoing. McLean provided a 2026 proposal dated February 2nd, outlining estimated costs and rates with an amount not to exceed $35,000. Resolved that all work related to services by LK McLean be paid accordingly and is extended retroactively from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 363 authorizes conference attendance to the Long Island Natural History Conference, which will take place February 27th at Stony Brook University Wang Center. Resolved that employees Brian Frank and Jake Kushner have been invited to present at the conference and are authorized to attend the conference as presenters. Their attendance fees are waived, and resolved that employees Morgan Slater, Will Edwards, Sarah Lewis, and Tyler Borsak are authorized to attend the conference, and the amount not to exceed, the financial impact is $240.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 364 is to amend a resolution 2026, which was about a payment to EV Connect, and this is to adjust the funding line.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 365 is to approve a refund for a 2024 lot inspection payment. Peter Moore paid $300 on March 1st, 2024 for a lot line inspection at 327 Fairview Avenue in Montauk. Resolved that the town board hereby authorize the issuance of a refund check payable to Peter Moore in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 366, this is to retain DB Bennett Engineering for Cantwell Court. This is for engineering the individual sites and providing foundation designs for each home, an amount not to exceed $24,180.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 367, this is to adopt a home ownership program administrative plan for the 2026 homeowner administrative plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 368, this is to adopt a local law to amend Chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code, Section 255-1-20 definitions, and Section 255-5-50 specific standards and safeguards to provide for the new affordable multiple residence use.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 2026-369, authorize employee attendance at the American Heart Association meeting, and this is for Lieutenant Kenneth Alversa and Administrative Assistant Amanda Bennett, and the financial impact is $200.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
370 is to authorize payment for employee training in the police department. This is for Sergeant Ryan Fink, Sergeant Patrick Royal, and Sergeant Bradley Rossi to attend an armorer's course sponsored by Glock Professionals, and the financial impact is not to exceed $900.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
371 is for remote monitoring and maintenance agreement for 2026 for the East Hampton Town Police Department. SourcePass has submitted a proposal to provide its essential support plan to the Town Police Department at an annual cost of $47,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 2026-372. This is for snowplow contractor for the 2026 season to add Zeb Perinas.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
373 is a 2026 budget modification for the Highway Department, and this is for the high volume of the snowfall that we experienced in 2026 so far, where we're increasing budget line for unappropriated surplus in the amount of $210,000 and increasing expenditure lines, subcontractor costs in the amount of $150,000 and snow removal supplies in the amount of $60,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 374. This is to accept security and undertaking at 24 15th Street LLC, care of the Cruz Brothers, Urban Renewal Parcel 79D and SP2-2. This is in the amount of $16,000 for timely construction of roads and drainage. And the location is 24 15th Street, East Hampton.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 375, this is to list appointment and promotion to Real Property Recorder 1 for Kelly Rivera at an hourly rate of $32.13, which is $58,477.70 annually for a 35-hour work week.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for CPF, real estate, personnel, advice of counsel, and contracts.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and thank you, LTV.
Thank you, and you